There are moments in life when you believe family is your strongest anchor, that blood ties will never betray you. But some wounds cut deeper than flesh when that trust is stolen by those closest to you. I used to think everything would pass, that people could change, especially the ones you love. But the truth was far harsher than I ever imagined. My story begins with her, Tasha, someone I once called my girlfriend, who then became my brother's wife. The same brother I always wanted to protect. I warned him, showed him undeniable proof of her betrayals. But he never listened. Those were the days when I felt torn between loyalty and the unbearable truth. And then the worst happened. Tasha didn't just hurt me once. She betrayed my brother over and over again. A child was born into this web of lies, truths buried beneath the weight of deception, and a family once close shattered apart. I thought I could forgive, could let go. But after everything, one thought remained. Cheaters always cheat. Before we start, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from. Enjoy the video. In this journey, I'll share with you those chaotic days, the tormenting emotions, the words left unsaid, and the truths hidden under the dust of lies. This isn't just a story of betrayal. It's about the pain of losing family, the shock of broken trust, and the struggle to find myself amidst the storm. I want to take you back to a time that feels like a lifetime ago, the beginning of everything that tore my family apart. Back then, I was just a guy craving a sense of belonging and validation. I wasn't the popular kid in school, far from it. My friends were great, sure, but I always felt invisible until I met Tasha. She was the kind of woman who could turn heads effortlessly, and for once I thought I had found my spotlight. Dating Tasha wasn't like any ordinary relationship. Beneath her beauty was a storm. Jealousy that lashed out unexpectedly, paranoia about every look I gave to other women. I tried so hard to keep her secure. I introduced her to my friends, my family, hoping that by making her feel accepted, I could calm the constant anxiety swirling around us. But instead, their warnings came fast and sharp. She's trouble. Stay away, they said. I heard their words but waved them off. Narcissistic, I know, thinking they were just jealous of me. My mom, the quiet guardian of our family, watched closely. She was the kind of woman whose instincts cut through the noise. When I finally brought Tasha home, my mom's eyes didn't lie. There was doubt, a silent question hanging in the air. My dad was more guarded, his disapproval subtle but unmistakable. And then there was Noah, my older brother by 3 years, always the wild child, the free spirit. Noah gave Tasha a curious glance, one that didn't quite reach warmth. I told myself it was normal sibling protectiveness, but deep down, a gnawing unease began to grow. Our family weekend trip to the beach was supposed to be the turning point, the chance for all of us to become one, to erase doubts with laughter and shared memories. But instead, it blew up in my face. Tasha accused me of flirting with another girl in a bikini. I was stunned, hurt. To me, she was the only one I cared about. When she slapped me and stormed off, I felt a mix of anger and confusion. Fear crept in like a shadow. I searched everywhere for her, heart pounding in the wrong kind of rhythm. And then I saw it. Noah and Tasha, half naked, tangled together on the couch. The world stopped. Time froze. My mind screamed, but my body couldn't move. The betrayal was not just a sting. It was a knife twisting deep inside. Tasha blamed me, as if her choice wasn't hers alone, claiming it happened because I looked at other women. My own brother offered excuses that still make my blood boil. She's not your type. We'll be happier. I was crushed under the unbearable weight of their betrayal. The fractures grew in my trust, in my heart, and in my family. My warnings to Noah turned into accusations in his ears. The brother I once looked up to became a stranger who couldn't see past his love for a woman who had deceived us both. It wasn't just about Tasha's actions. It was about how those actions peeled back the layers of what I thought family meant. It was the deep loneliness of watching someone you love fall for a lie, refusing to see the truth unless it's shoved violently in their face. And yet, beneath all the rage and heartbreak, a bitter determination was born in me. A need not just to expose her deceit, but to protect what was left of my family, even if it meant standing alone. But this was just the beginning. The moment I stumbled upon them, that nightmare I wish I could erase, was etched into my mind forever. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, but fate had other plans. I was desperate to find Tasha when she disappeared from our family beach trip. Panic gnawed at me, but nothing prepared me for the sight that awaited me. Noah and Tasha, half-naked, tangled on the couch, betraying every ounce of trust one had left. Time slowed. My heart shattered into pieces that I couldn't even recognize anymore. The man I looked up to, my own brother, was the one who had crossed the line, and not just once, but with the woman I loved. A crushing paradox swept through me. How could it be that the two people I cared for most were the ones breaking me? Tasha's explanation was cold and brutal. She blamed me, said everything was my fault because I had the audacity to look at other women. Her words sliced through the air like venom, twisting every truth I held dear. Noah, in his defense, was bewilderingly naive, convinced they would be happier. The betrayal wasn't just in their actions, but in their justifications, the lies they told themselves to sleep at night. Pain turned to rage. I confronted them both with a torrent of emotions I barely controlled. Hurt, disbelief, fury. There was no room for understanding or forgiveness in those moments. Only the raw, aching truth that blood couldn't shield me from treachery. Yet, amidst the chaos, family members began to take sides. My mother was torn, her eyes heavy with worry for both her sons. Dad was a quiet storm, disappointed but resigned, letting us fight our own battles. Noah's closest friends were shocked. Some even tried to reach out to me in secret, offering support that felt like a lifeline. My own friend sat me down one night, painfully reminding me that I deserved better. In the solitude of my dark bedroom, away from all the noise, I grappled with a profound sense of loss, not just of a girlfriend or a brother, but of the family I thought I knew. I questioned everything about trust, about loyalty, about whether love could truly conquer betrayal. But in that broken silence, I found the first flicker of resolve. I vowed not to let this be the end. I would gather every shred of truth, every secret hidden behind smiles, and lay it bare. Not just for me, but for the family that deserved to heal. This ordeal broke me in ways I never anticipated, but it also marked the beginning of a painful journey toward truth, justice, and maybe one day, peace. The day of their wedding should have been a day of celebration, a new beginning for my brother and Tasha. But as soon as I saw the invitation, an icy knot tightened in my chest. How could he marry her after everything? The woman who had already shattered so many bonds, including ours. I decided not to attend, not because I want to cause pain, but because the thought of pretending everything was fine felt like swallowing glass. I knew my absence would deepen the rift, but I had no strength left to face the crowd, the lies whispered behind smiles, or the hollow congratulations I didn't believe. Still, the wedding went ahead. And what a spectacle it was, lavish, over the top, drenched in my family's money. I'd later learn how Tasha made my brother splurge extravagantly, a grand celebration that looked more like a show put on for herself and those seeking a piece of her glittering world. But what truly broke my heart wasn't the excess. It was the guest list. A quarter of those there weren't strangers. They were the very men she had been with. Their knowing smiles, the stolen glances, the undercurrents of whispered secrets. It was a mockery of what a wedding should be. And worse, my own relatives were there, carrying a mix of shock and silent condemnation behind polite faces. My mother, ever the peacemaker, wanted to believe in their happiness, to hold on to the hope that love could bloom from ashes. But my father was a quiet storm, his disapproval heavy, his silence louder than any words. And Noah, the man I once called brother, seemed oblivious or willfully blind to how fragile everything really was. The tension was palpable. During the reception, I heard snippets of conversations that stabbed like knives. Whispers about her past, rumors swirling like a dark cloud. Friends tried to reach me, some urging me to confront, others urging me to walk away. But what choice did I have? This was my family being ripped apart. In those moments, I felt the crushing weight of loneliness. The brother who was supposed to have my back was now an attacker, accusing me of jealousy, of trying to undermine his happiness. He blamed me for everything, even for the woman who betrayed us both. My pleas fell on deaf ears, leaving me isolated in a crowd. Yet, deep inside, a strange kind of clarity emerged. The event that should have symbolized union revealed the fractures that no words could heal. It was a turning point where I realized that love, loyalty, and family aren't guaranteed just because we share blood. And it wasn't just about Noah and Tasha. It was about all of us, how we choose to stand, to fight, or to let go when the fabric of family unravels. The wedding day was over, but the nightmare was far from finished. Behind the closed doors of what was supposed to be a new life for Noah and Tasha, a darker reality unfolded. I wanted to believe time would heal the wounds, that maybe, just maybe, my brother's love could change her. But my heart knew better. Their marriage became a fragile facade, painted with smiles, but hiding countless betrayals. I started hearing whispers from mutual friends, neighbors, even strangers who crossed paths with Tasha. She was still slipping away from home, staying in hotels with men who were strangers to the family, but clearly familiar to her. One name haunted me the most, John, a man older than us, who confided in me one day with screenshots that shattered any remaining illusions. Tasha's texts exposed her double life, the lies, the manipulation, the endless pursuit of attention and luxury. John believed she didn't even realize the damage she caused, using him for dinners and gifts while Noah stayed oblivious, working hard to build their life. Noah's blindness cut deeper than his betrayal. Despite all the evidence I presented, he refused to see the truth. It was like trying to convince someone caught in a storm that there is a shore. His anger turned toward me instead. He called me jealous, accused me of trying to ruin their happiness. My own brother, the man I loved and trusted, now saw me as an enemy. My parents were caught in the middle of this raging fire. Mom's heart broke watching her sons tear each other apart, while Dad, ever stoic, remained distant but resolute in his judgment of Tasha. The family fractured more with every secret revealed, and I was left carrying the weight of truth alone. One day, when Tasha called me, asking for help, claiming she was alone and vulnerable during pregnancy, I felt a flicker of sympathy. But that sympathy quickly turned to shock when she tried to seduce me, offering herself in exchange for silence. My refusal was harsh but necessary. What kind of man would I be if I gave in to the chaos she brought into our lives? That day marked the moment I realized the battle was beyond me. It was a war for our family's survival. Yet despite the pain and the anger, I kept hoping Noah would wake up, see the lies for what they were, and choose to fight for the family before it was too late. The birth of that baby should have been a moment of joy, of new beginnings, healing, and hope. Instead, it became the darkest chapter of our fractured family story. When I first saw the baby, something set off a warning inside me that I couldn't ignore. The features didn't match Noah's, not even close. His eyes, his skin tone, his expressions, all felt foreign, as if the child had been misplaced in a cruel twist of fate. I tried to brush it off, telling myself babies do change in appearance, that maybe I was just projecting my fears. But every time I visited, the nagging doubt grew stronger. Noah was strangely distant, almost numb. The love and pride I expected to see in a new father were replaced with confusion and pain. It was clear he struggled to accept what reality was whispering to all of us. Finally, Noah confronted the impossible truth. The sleepless nights, the anger, the heartbreak, all led him to one action, a paternity test. The moment the results came back, our world shattered. The baby wasn't his, not even close. The betrayal was complete. Noah's sobs echoed through the house as reality crushed what little hope remained. Tasha, cold and calculating, tried every excuse in the book, blaming protection failure, claiming medical procedures with sperm donors, denying everything with an audacity that left us speechless. The court battle that followed was brutal. Divorce papers, custody fights, and legal maneuvering became our new normal. My parents stood in the wings, torn between grief and anger. Mom fought fiercely for Noah, trying to shield him from more heartbreak, while Dad's disappointment turned into quiet resolve. Tasha was nothing more than trouble masquerading in a pretty face. Noah stayed strong in public, but crumbled behind closed doors. He took the baby with him, clinging to the last thread of connection while his heart broke in silence. I stood beside him through it all, the brother I longed to protect, now vulnerable and lost. Tasha played her part like a chess player, using every trick to keep control, to secure child support, and to cling to a life built on lies. But the court ruled hard and clear. Noah was not the father. Custody slipped away with the truth's harsh verdict. What hurt the most wasn't just the betrayal of love or family, but the cruel reality that sometimes blood isn't enough to save you from heartbreak. After the courtroom battles and shattered illusions, the real struggle began, not just for my brother or me, but for the innocent life caught in the wreckage. Tasha's world, once glittering with manipulation and lies, started crumbling faster than anyone had predicted. She lost the family, the money, the carefully crafted image. Once the center of a whirlwind, she became a shadow, drifting from place to place. The promises of a fresh start faded, replaced by late nights in cheap apartments, restless days, and broken relationships stacked one after another. My parents, always kind-hearted, couldn't turn their backs on the baby. For a while, my mom became a full-time caretaker, sacrificing her own peace to hold together the fragile threads of this fractured family. But the strain was too much. The baby was often left alone, sometimes wandering, exposed to dangers no child should face. One night, the worst happened. Neighbors found the baby alone on the street, malnourished, scared, a shadow of innocence lost. Tasha was unconscious nearby, a victim of her own spiral into addiction. That night, our family's nightmare reached a breaking point. Authorities intervened, and Tasha was taken to rehab while the child was placed in protective care. Noah struggled silently, seeing our once bright family reduced to ashes. Yet, despite everything, he worried deeply for the child in ways he never imagined. Our mother's heart latched onto that small life too, visiting often, hoping to provide love and stability the child desperately needed. The child's father finally emerged, a man named Kyle, a figure entwined in a web of deceit and betrayal himself. Kyle's own troubled marriage and infidelities mirrored the chaos around us. But when confronted with the undeniable truth, he reluctantly took custody. His wife, Rita, a kind-hearted schoolteacher, stepped forward to legally adopt the baby, offering the love and security Tasha never could. Watching Rita care for that child reignited a fragile hope inside me. Amidst all this pain and destruction, the baby, though born of lies, found a chance at a better life. Meanwhile, Tasha's descent only deepened. Rehab did not fix everything. Reports reached us of failed jobs, new toxic relationships, and struggles with addiction. The woman who once sought love and control was now fighting just to survive. And yet, despite everything, a small part of me hoped Tasha would find peace, and that somehow the child could grow beyond these painful beginnings. Our family bears scars that will never fully fade. But the story is not just about betrayal and ruin. It's about resilience, about the hope that even broken pieces can someday fit back together. This is where our story stands, a tangled web of love, lies, and redemption. The future remains uncertain, but our fight to protect innocence and rebuild family goes on. Thank you for staying with me on this journey. The story isn't over yet.